Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today we're going to talk about overcoming obstacles and going from a struggling to thriving business. Today, I'm going to really expose some of the harder times that we've had over the last couple of years and talk about, what it means to dig deep and really recognize what you're doing wrong and making hard choices and watching those choices turn into fruitful returns and what that means, what that takes, and how to get started. So many of my friends, I see them, changing their business or, I'm always blown away, now working for over, 22 years, 25 to almost 25 years, in healthcare to have to get a new career or pivot. And then I started thinking, but why not? Overcoming obstacles is something I've done my entire life, from being paralyzed to, having my knee rebuilt. And that there was really kind of the lesson. And I thought about, this last year or so. And I said to myself, Mike, when you had that microfracture repair, you had to do 10 weeks of 12 hours a day on a machine seated. You haven't sat still. It's probably the longest you sat still to that point in your life, in your entire life. And it was something that taught me patience. It taught me see it to the end, and it taught me dealing with adversity. And once I got to the next phase of healing, the rehab, which is my field, was so important because I didn't want to just be a good patient. I wanted to master it. And I didn't want to be a statistical outcome. I wanted to be the outlier. I wanted to be the exception. So, when I was thinking about today's podcast today, I said, God, my whole life, I did the same thing when I was paralyzed. I did it with that injury, and I did it again this year, or in the last couple of years. I chose fitness, right? I couldn't do the basketball training anymore at the level I wanted to. And so I was like, you know what? I can work out. I'm healthy enough. I'm blessed to have, my PEMF technology and my MedRay guys. Big shout out to AJ and Josh. I am locked and loaded with my Class 4 laser at home and my soft shockwave. So I don't let anything become a problem. Like if I have something going on, I fix it. And I started thinking to myself, I'm like, as I'm resonating about how I attack my body, I do the same thing with business. And I started creating different challenges, small yet very effective, and winning the morning, winning the afternoon, winning the patient activity, the patient results, the patient testimonials. And it started compounding. The success started compounding. And this week, it's a huge week. I got pulled into a new medical opportunity, which I'm meeting that team on Thursday. I have a whole new physical medicine team coming on board, which at the Red Bank location, which I'm blessed to have. And, so Doc H, AKA Wifey, and myself will be onboarding them with the team. And the new company, Boost Medical, that I got pulled into, I'm very excited about that as well. And as well as what we're doing with VWI and Velocity Performance. So what I realized is it wasn't about, slowing down and getting comfortable with one thing. It was shifting gears and, really digging in and saying, hey, listen, you know what? This one field, this can't give me the satisfaction, the financial outcome that I want. But if I touch all of these things and I tap into what is my superpower, my energy, I can lift and raise these companies to a point where they're all profitable, and then make decisions. Do I want to expand them? Do I want to sell them? Do I want to maybe close one and focus on other opportunities? But, it's all coming to fruition. And probably the biggest thing that I saw that I thought was an opportunity and a gift is my ability to lead, right? I've been a coach and a trainer for a long time, and it's a gift. And I'm excited to be working with young practitioners to give them an opportunity to teach them. And I don't necessarily want them to stay with me forever. I want them to be on their own. And I think that that's a reality. I think it hits them with a Jedi mind trick, because I think most type A alpha male and female, healthcare practitioners, business or whatever their professional degree is, if they're that good, they're going to want to be on their own. And I much rather say I train them and help them go spread their wings and be great than, hold them back and stifle them and have them leave you and resent you. So give me a sec. But some of the obstacles that I think all of us face is avoiding micromanaging, but at the same time, how do you set your team up for success on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, and then have measurables and then celebrate it? And here's the reality. You're not going to hit every goal. So you have to be ready for that. You need to counter. You need to, as Jocko Willink would say, you need to detach, take a step back, reassess, plan, study, and correct. And, that's something that I think that I've really gotten better with in this last couple of years out of necessity. And I think that what I would tell my audience is that if you're struggling, and, for me, that was definitely a yes, I had to look at, what am I offering? Is there a value? Is that perceived value are we capturing that? And if that's from a third party or the client, i.e. patient, or is it not? And what we found was that the model was failing. And so for us, we had to make a hard pivot and establish ourselves as, these are the services that you get, and these are the services that we offer that you have to pay for, and deliver that in a clear, concise, and, bring it from an educational perspective. So the patient, and I always say this when I'm coaching doctors, is, they go from becoming an informed consumer to an educated patient to a excellent, testimonial when the results are achieved, and they will be if you execute the plan properly. So like I said, before, I think, what I learned was early on in healthcare, we got to the point where we were so busy, we just assumed the money would be rolling in, and, carriers and this and that. And I'm sure all my healthcare guys listening right now can feel my pain. You don't get a tip from the insurance carriers at the end of the year saying, hey, Dr. O'Connor, hey, Dr. Smith, hey, Dr. Abrams, hey, Dr. Sharp, you did a great job. Here's an extra $200,000, said no insurance carrier ever. So quite frankly, when you're trying to, do better, and, what do? You have to offer better services. You have to just frankly be better. And for me, that's always going out there, always seeing who's treating with what. And I personally love to look at the elite athletes, the corporate businessman that is doing extreme sports, staying healthy, and say, I think these are the kind of people that would be successful no matter what. And I also think this type of personality that's willing to invest in himself with this type of science is something we can market at and capture and get them better, and give them the experience that they want, that we want to be part of. And then I think it's a win-win environment. And I think whenever you can have a doctor-patient relationship like that, that's scalable, I think you have a great business model in your hands. So that's that. Business failures, right? I think we all run into this. One of dear friends and business associates, had a very solid practice for years, and, COVID happened and his business exploded, where ours took a huge hit. And I was thankful for him. I was grateful to be part of that process and see him celebrate that and do better than he had ever done before. And he's still doing well as a result. And it motivated me. It motivated me to look at what we could do in our practice that when we were up and running full time. And, there are always going to be hiccups, right? There were things that fell short of the mark and we had to reinvent them, retool them, reframe them. And that's where we're at now. And I think that's the biggest thing you have to do when you're overcoming obstacles is identify the obstacle, identify what it's costing you to not deal with it. And then when you see that value, then you need to say to yourself, I need to do better. I need to attack this. I need to make this a strength, not a weakness. I need to figure it out. And for us in healthcare, especially for Velocity Performance or Velocity Wellness Institute or the future company Boost, it's about, giving patients measurable goals, achieving them, and then acknowledging them, showing the patient that they were here and now they're there. And, people say, well, that's commonsensical. You're supposed to do that. Sometimes sense isn't so common, right? And, I think that a lot of times people just miss the obvious. And I think there's something to be said, much like when you're working with young athletes to celebrate the ball going through the net or celebrate the small wins, so to speak. So I think in the case that we're talking about today, I think it's about consistency. I think it's about being able to take constructive feedback. One of the biggest things that I try to do is follow the food industry. I think the hospitality business is a fantastic educational tool for all healthcare businesses because they pride themselves on customer service. I know Rob Duran that owns Almost Home with his crew. They do an amazing job at making sure that they are broadcasting high level customer service. And it's amazing because sometimes I'll be at a restaurant where I'm like, oh, food sucks or whatever, but the customer service was so good. I'm like, you know what? I had an amazing time. And I don't think that should be anybody's goal is to not give great food or whatnot. But I do believe there's something to be said about making the environment so enjoyable that the person feels like they've got an escape from their regular life. And that's something that with the new team coming on and how we're transforming in our Velocity Performance model is to make our staff understand that, to say, hey, listen, we're constantly pushing the envelope. We constantly want these people to feel like this is state of the art, or what an amazing combination of corrective fitness and corrective exercise and science, and then knowledge, compassion, and execution by the healthcare provider. And again, that takes effort, that takes practice, that takes execution. And when you can do these things on a consistent basis, I really, truly believe that you can achieve, unbelievable levels of success. And probably what you thought was a measuring stick, you will far, far scale above and beyond. So today's podcast again is about, and I like keeping them short and sweet when it's just me, to give you something to focus on, give you something to chew on. If your business is struggling, for me, it's my morning motivation is to sit there and break it down. Where are we hurting? Where is it lack? Where can it be better? What am I doing wrong? First, start at the top. How can I make it better? And by making that happen, I think that you can really, really, really change the outcome of your business, the outcome of your production, and really elevate whatever you're doing to the next level. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Please like, share it, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Our next podcast, we're going to have some amazing guests, so I look forward to sharing that with you. Take care.